Well, hello, folks, and welcome to the French Open 2019 with the Slices coverage coming at you from the Slice headquarters. If you haven't noticed, we've got a new logo here, and we're feeling fresh. And the draw has come out for the French Open, so we're going to break down the men's draw and look at some of the dangerous first-round matches for the big three players, and then take a look at the potential quarterfinal matchups. So we got a lot to get into here, so let's get into it, and welcome to Roland Garros.
Welcome to the Slice.
Welcome to the Slice.
Welcome to the Slice.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. Thank you for tuning in. The tennis world has descended on Paris, and all the players are there. Things are starting to heat up. If you haven't taken a look at our Instagram, at the Slice Tennis, we got day-to-day coverage there. We got lots of posts about the tournament qualifying happening there. Check it out. And we got a front row show coming next week, which is going to get down into the first rounds of the tournament. And we had a lot of great questions last week. So click the link below to join the front row family, and you can choose the topic of the episode. But thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being here. Worldwide coverage, or worldwide fans coming in, checking in on the Slice of the French Open. What do we got in this draw? A lot of people have been talking about it. I actually haven't seen what other people have said. I just looked at it myself, made a ton of notes, and this is what we got. So just jumping right into this now, I guess I thought it would be good to look at the potential quarterfinal matchups, or just how the draw is basically laid out. So we got Djokovic as the number one on the top half. In his quarter is Alexander Zverev, ranked number 5. And then we got Thiem in the second quarter with Del Potro ranked number 8, ranked in his, or put in his quarter of the draw as well. So Thiem versus Del Potro in the second quarter. The third quarter has Tsitsipas and Federer, with Federer being number 3 and Tsitsipas number 6. And the fourth quarter is Nishikori and Nadal. So there's big juicy names as the top 8 in this draw. Just a note here, it's kind of crazy to see Tsitsipas. A year ago, he was almost unknown on the tennis tour. Now he's in the top. He's number 6 at the French Open. That's pretty crazy. This young kid, we've talked about him a lot, especially on the Slice, saying that he's the future of tennis. And I had a great question on the front row show last week, actually. Who's going to make a bigger impact on tennis, him or Zverev? I chose him because I think his game's a little bit more fiery and offensive, but we'll have to see, obviously. But you can check that out in the link below. But just right off the bat, I'm going to say that Rafael Nadal is the favorite. You thought I might do it, didn't you? You thought I might say that this is the year that Nadal's not going to be the favorite to win the French Open. But old Stevie, he's wisened up. I think 2 years ago I called him losing to Thiem and then him losing to Wawrinka in the final. That was more to cause controversy. Or was it just stupidity? I don't know. But I've come to respect the old Spanish Bull a lot more, and he's definitely the favorite in this tournament because he's won it 11 times. You don't really have to have much more reason than that. But he hasn't had the greatest clay court season for his accounts at all. But he did win in Rome, and he looked like his game was getting back to where it normally is, with the pop and with the bite of his topspin and his just movement. It was all seeming to look a lot better in Rome. So maybe it just took him a while to start up that old engine, but coming into the French Open, I'd say he's the best player on clay. And if you don't think he's the best player, once he gets onto Suzanne Langwang court, or however you say it, the main court at the French Open, he is the most dominant player, and he will find that next level, I do believe. So I think he's the favorite. Also, I think he's the favorite because he doesn't have Djokovic, Thiem, or Delpo in his half. So he won't have to play either 3 of those guys until the final. Delpo's obviously probably less obvious than that, but Djokovic and Thiem would be his biggest threats, I think, at the French Open, and they're not in his half. So just looking at toughness of the draws, I think Djokovic has the toughest quarter. He plays Hubert Hurkacz in the first round, and then he could play Munar, Coric, Shapovalov, Fognini, or Zverev, and that's all before the quarterfinals. So I think he's definitely got the toughest draw in that sense. Federer and Nadal they seem to have a pretty nice first 4 rounds of the tournament for them, not playing any too big of names. But we're going to get into a little section here called First Round Danger. I don't know if the draw has been changed up this year at all, but it seems like the top 4 guys don't have buys in the first round, which I'm not sure is normal. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But first, some of these guys got, like Djokovic and Federer and a few other guys, have very tough first round matches, and honestly could lose them. It's like fathomable. So we're going to get into some of these right now. We got in the first round on the top, we got Djokovic versus Hurkacz. If you haven't been following the slice at all, if you're new here, I went to the Miami Open this year with a press pass, and I got to interview a bunch of different players, including Federer, Team, Djokovic, all these guys. It was amazing. But I also got to meet and watch Hubert Hurkacz beat Dominic Thiem in Miami, who had just won India Wells. So that was very surprising. But watching that match, it wasn't that surprising to me. This kid, he's about 22. He moves insanely well for his size, and he has a great backhand and a great forehand, just great all-around game. And I feel like he's finally putting the pieces together. He's got the power and the movement, I'd say, to hurt Djokovic, especially on this clay. He's already defeated Luca Pouille and De Minaur on clay in this year, which is obviously not the biggest names. And then he obviously defeated Thiem in Miami, like I just said. So don't sleep on Hubert Hurkacz. It's going to be a tough first round. Djokovic could just sweep him aside 6-1, 6-2, 6-2. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hubert could get a match or a set off him. Wouldn't obviously call for an upset, but if anyone was going to do it, Hubert Hurkacz, it's your time to shine, possibly. The next one we have as a dangerous first round is Alexander Zverev versus John Millman. John Millman's just a journeyman, and he obviously took Federer out at the U.S. Open last year with some weird conditions, but he's a tough grinder, and Zverev is very vulnerable right now, obviously, because he has not been playing well at all. He's been totally out of sorts. So this will be a very dangerous first round for him. If he loses in the first round at the French Open, that would be very bad for him, and we would need, I don't know, I'd have to give him a call and just say, what's up, buddy? What is going on in your life right now? What is happening with your game? Because we know you're better than that. That's what we know. So that's a tough first round for Zverev, I'd say. And then we got Juan Martín del Potro versus Nicolas Jarry. And I don't know, Jarry, would it be Jarry? We got a bunch of pronunciation police as the Slice fans. Everyone gets really mad when I say Fognini or Fognini. I said Fognini already, I think, but it's Fognini. Is that right? Delpo versus Jarry. Jarry's been in form lately with some big wins versus Zverev, Dimitrov on clay already. So I'm looking at these players, how they've been doing on clay, not just at a general, because a lot of these guys are clay specialists, and they can hurt these players who maybe clay isn't their best surface. Delpo played great in Rome, had a tough match against Djokovic, almost took him out. But this will be a tough match for Del Potro because Jarry's power can definitely hurt him. And it's tough on these courts when it's your first round. If this guy's hot, if the underdog is hot, and it's your first round at the French Open, maybe you're not accustomed to it, whatever has been going on, who knows, and you can lose early. So it's always tough. These guys are really, I know Federer always talks about it, he really focuses on the first round. He's never looking too far down the road, which is obviously super smart. And the last one that I noticed was Federer versus Lorenzo Sonego from Italy. He's a young, strong clay court, I would say, specialist or player, but he's kind of come into form lately on the clay court. He defeated Seppi and Khachanov in Monte Carlo. So he's got power to hurt players, and he's done it on the clay before. Federer, I don't think he's actually injured. He pulled out of Rome in his semifinal or quarterfinal matchup. But he had to play 2 matches in the single day, and even that would hurt me, and he's 37, turning 38 this year. So I'm sure body was way too sore and he didn't want to hurt himself, saved himself for the French Open. So he should be fine, but Lorenzo Sonego is the type of guy who you don't really want to play in the first round because he knows clay and he knows how to hit big and just play fearless. He's only 22, he's 24. So that could be a possible sketchy match for Federer. But like I said, Federer and Nadal, I think, have pretty gracious first rounds. We don't know who Nadal's, or first few rounds. We don't know who Nadal's playing currently when this is being shot. It's going to be a qualifier, so he should be okay. But they don't have too tough of draws in the first few rounds. But the potential quarterfinal matchups, Djokovic versus Zverev. If that happens, if Zverev gets to the quarterfinals, that will mean that he has some great momentum, and then he could be a problem for Djokovic. Because if he gets playing well, he's a great player. He's beaten Djokovic. He beat him in the World Tour Finals last year. So that could be a really tough match, and you could see that going Zverev's way. We have no real reason to think that he'll make it to the quarterfinals right now with the way that he's playing. But you still can give him, he's done enough in his career so far that you can give him the benefit of the doubt that he will be able to find it when it counts in the French Open. Although he's been very inconsistent in the Grand Slams in his career so far. But he's still 21 years old, so everybody can just relax. The next potential quarterfinal would be Thiem versus Del Potro, which is a match made in heaven. That's just an amazing form. I guess those two guys, Del Potro is obviously hitting huge and not moving the greatest. Thiem's just an all-rounder. When he's playing his best, he's arguably the best clay court player on the planet right now. So that's going to be juicy. I would take Djokovic and team moving through those quarterfinals if I had to just pull it out of the top of my head right now. These matches might not even end up happening. This is a quick preview of what could happen. We'll obviously have a quarterfinal preview video coming as well. The next quarterfinal would be Tsitsipas versus Federer if they both made it. Now that would be a tough match for Federer, I think, because it is 5 sets. So it would have to be based on how their bodies are feeling at the beginning of that, and then who just plays better in the big moments. Because I still think Federer can get stuff done quickly on clay. He showed that so far in the clay season. He's played good tennis. But Tsitsipas can obviously make his life extremely annoying with his big serving and great returning. I watched these Federer and Tsitsipas practice in Miami, like literally courtside, a little chain link fence in front of me. I'll hopefully post a clip of that. And it was just crazy to see Tsitsipas' return game. His hand skills are crazy. I saw him play some doubles as well. His net skills are crazy. He's just an unbelievably talented player, so he could obviously cause massive problems for Federer, and he beat him at the Australian Open in 5 sets, or in a 5-set match in 4 sets. So that's a tough one for Federer there, but he obviously could win because he's the GOAT. So he could obviously pull something out of his extremely deep bag and just whip it up. You never know. He could win the tournament. There is a chance, but it's maybe a smaller chance, but there is a chance. And the last possible quarterfinal would be Nishikori versus Nadal, which would be a tough match for Nadal, but I couldn't see him really losing. Nishikori has played insanely well in some instances in his career against Nadal, but he's had a very tough go of it for the most part. But he does play with a style that could hurt Nadal if he plays, I think, more aggressive. If he stands to the court, takes it up the line hard, isn't too afraid of Nadal's forehand, and just mixes it up and plays attacking. If he can attack more than Nadal, he'll have a chance. But if he doesn't, he's screwed. He's absolutely screwed. So there's a quick look at the draw. It's an exciting draw because all these players are in it. It's an exciting draw because it's happening. The French Open is going to be awesome. So keep it tuned at The Slice Tennis on YouTube and also at The Slice Tennis on Instagram for all the coverage you're going to need. We'll be making videos almost every second day here, and I'm excited to see what happens. So stay tuned for more from The Slice. Thank you for tuning in, and check out the Front Row Show with the link below coming out next week. We'll talk to you guys very soon. Thanks for watching, folks. This has been The Slice. Click here to subscribe to the channel. Click here to check out the Front Row, and click here to watch another awesome video that's going to make you a better tennis fan.